Question is this possible? Now, South African opposition leader Julius Malema has called for united Africa under one president, one currency, one parliament, and one military command, delivering a keynote address at the Nigerian Bar Association's annual general conference in Enugu on Sunday. Malema asked African leaders to discard colonial boundaries and work towards a borderless continent that speaks with one voice. Africa is home to 54 recognized sovereign states, each with its own president or leader. However, Malema has challenged this and is seeking to consolidate leadership on the continent under a single African authority. The 44-year-old South African politician rejected the portrayal of Africa as a dark continent, stressing that it is endowed with diamonds, minerals, and other resources that can drive prosperity. He identified Nigeria and South Africa as critical drivers of Africa's industrialization and growth, urging both countries to provide leadership for the continent's development. Malema hailed Nigeria for standing firmly with South Africa during the fight against apartheid and said both countries can lead the African continent to a free trade area to improve the lives of ordinary people. The firebrand politician cautioned African nations against reckless borrowing, calling for stricter regulation of loans from the World Bank and other international leaders. If you're just tuning in, this is Matters on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. We're talking about a single African presidency, currency, and borderless continent. Is this possible? Joining me to help analyze this is Barrister Tunde Kolawole. Of course, as the title says, he's a legal practitioner and a current affairs analyst. Barrister Kolawole, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thanks for having me, and a great afternoon to all the good people of Lagos State and Nigeria who are listening to us today.
Okay, so this is what we're talking about today: a single African presidency, a single African currency. Can you hear me, sir?
Am I audible? Hello?
Hello, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Mr. Ofe, audible?
Yes, you are. Okay, just give me a moment. We seem to be having...
Hello? afternoon.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me now, sir?
I can hear you. I can hear you clearly.
Okay, good. So we're taking a look at the president of Economic Freedom Fighters, EFF, Julius Malema. Of course, he's also the South African opposition leader, proposing, which of course he has done in the past, having to make a reproposal of United Africa under one president, one currency, one parliament, one military command. What do you think about this proposal?
Well, I would want to say, as a Pan-Africanist myself, I think Mr. Malema's suggestion or proposal is a very noble one. It is born out of great interest in the emancipation and the unity of all the African continent. You and I will know that this will not be the first time that Mr. Malema has been preaching for the unification of the whole of Africa. He has said it many times. He's giving press interviews. He has written on it. What have you? In fact, I do remember each time there's a xenophobic attack in South Africa, Mr. Malema has always condemned it. He has always insisted that all Africans are one. And we would know and agree that all Africans are one because all the African people call their father Baba. When you go to South Africa, a father is called Baba. When you come to Yoruba land, a father is called Yoruba. And then when you go within the Hausa or Fulani people, they also call their father. Little for most of the African people. That may also be the reason that most African languages are called a Baba language. But let me say this, that Mr. Malema will not be the first person to be postulating the idea of a united Africa. It has always been on the board. It has always been an aspiration for most African thinkers and intellectuals, from Marcus Garvey to Kwame Nkrumah to Thomas Sankara to Obafemi Awolowo. And then you and I would know most reggae exponents or musicians, especially from Jamaica and around the world, Lucky Dube and what have you. Their fan song has always been that there is a need for African unity under one umbrella, one political umbrella, one economic umbrella, one monetary umbrella, and what have you. And I should think that they are merely trying to live up to the truism of the need and essence for African unity. When the OAU was founded, and all that, and his headquarters put in Addis Ababa under His Royal Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie, the King of Kings, what have you. The thought was that that would be the centripetal, the nucleus upon which African unity is going to be built. But sadly, despite all the aspirations of the blacks in diaspora, our brothers and sisters who are taken to slavery and who fought for emancipation, and then the founding fathers of OAU, that reality, that aspirations have merely remained a mirage. It has become very, very difficult to achieve for reasons that are too obvious. So I think Mr. Malema is walking along the right path and is merely repeating what his forebears have always desired to happen to the whole of Africa.
But do you think that is possible, though?
It is difficult, extremely difficult. Why do I say it's difficult? You and I will know that political selfishness, political interest, personal aggrandizement, even within our different city-states or within our different countries, it has been very difficult to have unity. Let's take Nigeria as a microcosm of Africa. They say we have about 250 languages in Nigeria.
Yeah.
And what
that's on paper. We both know it's much more than that.
It could even be more than that or lesser than that. But it's been very difficult to really unite us. 50 years after independence, the unity of Nigeria has remained in mirage. Even political leaders like Obafemi Awolowo, who had once postulated the need for African unity, once said that Nigeria is a mere geographical expression, that the Yoruba is different from the Hausa man, the Hausa man is different from the Kanuri man, and what have you. But that we can work on this unity, we can make it a reality, because when you look at the huge population, the huge market that it will create, and then the massive landscape that people will have to apply their trade on and all that, it will definitely be in the best interest of Nigeria and the whole of Africa to really unite. But when you look at outside the source of Nigeria, look at Europe, look at the challenges that they are facing to unite. It was, I think, Adolf Hitler who first thought that why would Europe not unite? And when he knew that it was not possible through peaceful means, he even went towards to bring the whole of Europe together. But his brothers and sisters in the other different countries and all that countered him, fought against him, and then defeated him. But lo and behold, Europe is now striving to come together as one united geopolitical.
Well, that's almost thanks to Donald Trump, anyway.
Exactly. So if Europe, with all the enlightenment, with all the education, infrastructure, and all that, is finding it to put under one umbrella, you could imagine the daunting task that we are facing here. And of course, you also know most African leaders, they prefer to continue to ride a dead horse than to be custodian of a living one. Look at Cameroon, a man who is over 90 years old and all that. He still the one presiding over the affairs of Cameroon. Yeah. Even though we are told, I haven't confirmed that the man lives in France and is ruling Cameroon from France. And you have a pocket of African leaders all over the place. With due respect to our own Jerusalem Obasanjo was alleged to be looking for a third term. Despite the fact that he was once a military leader for about 4 years and then ruled as a civilian president for 8 years. So what meaning will third term have for him? And he was a man who once accused, I think, was his lieutenant or whoever, that he didn't know what the man forgot in Nassau Rock or in the State House, that he wants to go back there to pick. But lo and behold, he himself came back as a civilian president and also won the third term. So if the interest or the vested interest of African leaders are needed to go back, I think it is an Herculean task for Africa to unite. But it is not impossible. West Africa is talking about a monetary union, one currency for West Africa. The East African people are also talking about one monetary union. And they even have the East African cooperative union, just like we have the ECOWAS and all that. The North Africa also have their own.
Every region have their organization.
Exactly. So some of these regional blocks can become the building block for a united Africa, even though they need it. That aspiration may not be realized in our own lifetime.
Now, another big question is why though? Why is that even a good idea? Now, let's take Nigeria as an example of you did earlier on, where we're at a time where people are saying we're practicing the wrong kind of federalism, where people are proposing us going back to the regional system of government because things look like they're not working, where you have one man in Abuja trying to control the affairs of the country, and the tribalism nature that's innate in us more often than not takes control, where if an Hausa man that is the president, there is a tendency for him to favor his Hausa people compared to other tribe. If it's a Yoruba man, it's an Igbo man, and so on and so forth. And also at a time where Igbo people are feeling marginalized because, since it looks like the Fulanis and the Yorubas that have to be president. There's a proposal, people are shouting for regional system of government. Let every region manage their own resources. Let every region manage their economy, so what if that is not working in Nigeria with one president? Of course, we're also talking about that in a security architecture where the Inspector General of Police all the way from Abuja trying to control something that is happening in my village. It's wrong. It's not possible. How do you think that will happen in the African continent, though?
Well, just like I earlier on said, it's a very Herculean task. It is not impossible. Some of these challenges
we're not even talking about being possible or possible. We're talking, is it even a good idea for us to start proposing that, considering how diverse we are with our different issues, using Nigeria as a case in point?
I think it is advisable to start pursuing that goal for so many reasons. It is advisable. Why do I say this? I'm sorry to say, when I mention some of these things, people get very angry. Some of my friends and those who read and listen to me get angry with me. If Africa is not careful, and some part of the Middle East, we will be recolonized. Why do I say we'll be recolonized? 2, 3 things. One, resources in terms of mineral resources and water would appear to me to be fast dwindling in Europe and the Americas. The only continent that has vast mineral resources today, a very good arable land and water, is the African continent. Secondly, when you look at human resources, the human capital too, young, agile, intelligent, and sweet people and all that, it is in the African continent that we have that kind of state group who will be pivotal to the development of the future and what are they. And when you look at Europe and America, some of these other places, maybe with the exception of China and what are they would appear to me to be now rethinking their strategy of allowing all comers, of allowing different people to come into their country because of the fear of domination. And this fear of domination, if it persists and what have you, and Africa is unable to kind of manage its own affairs, that all our young people have to be risking their lives to cross the Atlantic Ocean, to cross the Indian Ocean, and some of these deadly oceans and all that, to get to Europe and America and all that, with a view to living in the life of comfort in those places and all that. Sooner than later, those people will become irritable and allergic. That, like they have been now, just this week, and a massive demonstration is going on in the UK against their government for putting immigrants and asylum seekers in hotels when there are bona fide British people, Irish people, and what have you, who are homeless, who are living on the streets. And then you now put asylum seekers in very good hotels where they live a life of comfort. What this tells us is that the people in those places are becoming very wary and fearful of domination of the African people. And if they continue in that way and another, 2, 3 things may be the consequences of that kind of thinking. Is it that they will say, look, if you people are unable to manage your affairs, and your people will be coming here to take our resources, to take our land, and to dominate us, and in the near future, overwhelm our population and all that, why don't we go back to Africa and then recolonize those people and begin to organize and manage it, so that our people will not continue to become to remain a nonsense to us in this part of the world. When that happens and all that, the possibility that there is going to be a war that will ensue between the African people and whoever may want to dominate it, given the state of infrastructure, given the state of technology, given the state of research, innovation, and development in this part of the world, we may not be a match to Europe or America in terms of really standing up to them if they so decide to come and recolonize us in this part of the world. So, if you think about uniting the whole of Africa and putting our resources together to be able to protect ourselves against domination, against being wiped out from the face of the earth, like the Israelis are trying to do to the Palestinians, so as to be able to take their land. then the thought of African unity should be prime and should be given priority in the minds of all the African leaders, and especially the youth.
But Africa can still be united without having to be united under one single man called the president. I mean, just like you've said earlier on, we have African Union, which of course has become a shadow of its former self. We have you have ECOWAS, we have as you said, the other regional body. Yeah, if at those different levels it's difficult to unite Africa, African Union, for example, you think one president will be a better idea for the whole of Africa?
Yes and no. It not necessarily have to be one president. When you look at what they do in Europe today,
no, but that's what this proposal is talking about. One president, one currency.
That is what it's talking about.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is that that cannot be achieved one way. It has to be gradual. Just like Europe, we have to evolve. At least we have started with the idea of African unity.
Yeah, but Europe don't have one president. They have the European Union, just like we have the African Union here.
And they rotate the presidency of the European Union.
Yes.
And some of the other organs and what
almost pretty much the same thing in Africa.
Well, their own project with regards to unity would appear to me to be more robust, in the sense that apart from having structures and what have you, they have a parliament that makes law for the whole of Europe. They also have a currency, euro, which tend to unite them. And of course, too, they have a law, a body of law that governs the whole of Europe, that even if you are not satisfied with whatever ruling or judgment you get in your country, you can go to the European court to fight for your rights and what have you.
But Donald Trump has kind of showed that the power of the U.S. Vis-a-vis the dollar makes euro looks like child's play right now with the trade war that he was almost starting.
In the long run, I am not too sure. Now, what the U.S. President, Mr. Donald Trump, is doing now, will endure. I doubt it. That is to kind of alienate other people from around the world from the U.S., not just in terms of immigration, not just in tourism, but also in economic activity. I was looking at some statistics, I think, yesterday or day before yesterday, and they said the influx of people to America and then taking tourism, especially and all that, has dropped by about 70%.
Yeah.
Not many.
No thanks to Donald Trump and his new current foreign policies.
If he continues to do what he is doing, the consequences might be that the so-called American empire will collapse and fall, like all the previous empires like Greece, Roman, and what have you, Ottoman Empire, and then a new empire will replace it. And that empire might likely be China and Russia, and we should not overrule or not overrate Iran. The way and manner in which Iran is developing today, it is not impossible that they could resuscitate or they could emerge in the near future as the Ottoman Empire of the Middle East.
Hello, sir.
Hello, I'm hearing you.
Okay.
I'm hearing you.
Okay.
So all the indices are there. I always say a bunch of broom is easier to manage than when you have the broom pieces or scattered all over the place. African basically look at the way we dress, look at the way we think, look at our color pigmentations and what have you. Look at our weather. They appear to be unique. I mean, to be the same, just like Europe. And we are not the only continent with different languages and all that. You have in Europe, French, Greece, Italians, and all manners of tribes in those places. So if they could think and if they could work on their unity and what have you, it's also possible in here to begin the building block towards the unity of the whole of African continent.
Now, when you also consider just how selfish African leaders are, I mean, politicians generally, leaders as a whole, history would indicate that the one united Africa under one president and one currency wouldn't exactly be a good idea. When you also take a look at what's happening with Russia and Ukraine now, which is like a fallout from the Soviet Union, where the Soviet Union once upon a time was the biggest,
a mighty empire.
A mighty empire, exactly. Kind of like the empire that could rival the US at a time. But when you look deeply, you realize that a lot of the other countries in the Soviet Union were subservient to the Russian empire, and sooner or later the cracks begins to show. And in 1992, obviously the Soviet Union was disbanded. Exactly. And now we have a president called Vladimir Putin that's still bitter about the disbandment of the Soviet Union, and is trying everything possible to bring the Soviet Union together. And invading Ukraine is now like a starting point for that. How do you think, with the wicked and selfish leaders we have in Africa, we don't have a repeat of that, when most of these leaders can't even govern their country properly?
Very good example you have given in there. I will just dwell a little on what happened while the Soviet Union unraveled. About 2-3 things, in my very humble opinion. The affairs of the former Soviet Union was badly managed, I think, under Gorbachev. Most time Gorbachev was more living in the West. He served most of his time as ambassador in the Western world. So most of his values were not that of a core socialist person, or a communist, or the man who believes in the political regime in his own country. He was more and more westernized and more rapid. So that was a drawback with regards to it. And in fact, Putin has never stopped referring to that. When the man died not too long ago and all that, as would be expected, Putin refused to attend his burial ceremony, and refused to accord him the elaborate burial ceremony that he ought to have been accorded as a former Soviet leader,
because Putin thought he would have been much more authoritarian than
exactly. He thought the man was instrumental, was negligent in the collapse
was too soft.
Yes, exactly. But by and large, I think it was all because of too soft. There were other issues. One was it, as you know, both America and Europe were doing everything within their means, trying to undermine the political regime in the former Soviet Union. They had a program of undermining what was happening in the former Soviet. All manners of propaganda, all manners of economic activities, all manners of sanctioning, all manners of incentives were being given to dissident elements to undermine the political structure.
That was because so many countries in the Soviet Union, apart from Russia, were complaining about the authoritarian regime of the Russia-led Soviet Union. Don't you think?
I agree absolutely. I agree with you. And it's been said, and a lot has been written about it, that people like Joseph Stalin has managed the affairs of the Soviet Union.
I mean, Stalin has been adjudged one of the most evil human that ever been.
Exactly.
Adolf Hitler, obviously.
Exactly. My reading of politics is that socialism should mean life more abundant for the people. It should mean more freedom for the people. It should mean quality of life in terms of education, in terms of infrastructure and what have you.
And why
Maybe
do you think we're not going to have that in Africa with the kind of corrupt and dark leaders we have here?
it is not impossible because go and check most African countries and what have you. They don't allow any opposition parties to try. In Rwanda, no serious opposition party. In Nigeria, the opposition party is always fine. In Cameroon, there's no opposition party. When you also go to Uganda, Museveni's son is not being touted as a replacement for his father. But I think that also has some cultural perspective for me. We come from a history where we used to have a Noba, KBAC, whether in Uganda or in Cameroon or in Nigeria, Yoruba land and what have you. We came from that background in which we always have one very strong leader who is a KBAC who can never be questioned and what have you.
The whole world definitely had that. You know, UK had that, Russia had that, France had that, Spain had that.
Exactly.
Spain still do, UK still do, but right now, except the difference is now they are constitutional monarch.
Exactly. So whereas those people you have mentioned have kind of evolved to constitutional monarchy and what have you, here it is extremely difficult. Most of our leaders, whether they be in uniform or president and what have you, the mentality they have, you see that of the KBAC syndrome still go, you see written all over them. They want to dominate everything and all people within the society, and then they manage the resources of the society and lead it to their own personal commonwealth. The transition from monarchy or from the KBAC syndrome to a kind of constitutional monarchy and another has been very, very difficult because they never allow it to evolve, the leaders that we have. Two, the kind of education that we give to people around there, you see that which inculcates subservience in the people. A Yoruba person says a KBAC, you cannot challenge the Oba. You cannot stand up and greet him, you must lie flat on your belly. You cannot query or question whatever he says and what have you. You also go to the north in there. The average house of Fulani person has the rank category, the emir syndrome and all that. And this to all of Africa. So, but it may not remain like that forever. I suspect that the youth people, given the state of technology today in terms of social media and the exposure that those people have, and then the education that they continue to get on a daily basis, we begin to challenge some of these things until we arrive at either a constitutional monarchy or a total overhaul of society. Just as we had in the North Africa, which was described as a kind of Arab Spring, which swept away all the authoritarian regimes in most of the North African countries and what have you, and then replaced with a more liberal, democratic political principles and the structure.
Now, let's take a look at the single currency, though.
Yeah.
Because personally, I don't think we need to have, how do I put it, a united one president. So for us to be able to use a single currency, we can still do that if we don't have these challenges. For example, Africa's economy are at different stages of development, which means it will make it challenging to implement a single currency and economic policy that will benefit all countries. You know, as you said, different level of development. We'll also take a look at investment in infrastructure, including cross-border, highways, rail networks, and energy synergy. If we want to do that, we can start with ECOWAS. Let's see how it works with ECOWAS. We can start with SADC, see how it works with SADC. If that doesn't work, then I don't think the one single currency in the whole of Africa will work.
Well, it should work if we really work very hard on it. We must remember that the
leaders do not look like the ones that really want to work very hard, other than their pockets or their immediate family members.
It is a difficult one. It's only in Africa that you find somebody become a prime minister, become president, and it begins to look fresher, it begins to look more robust, it begins to put on weight and what happens. When you see the average European leader, average American leader and all that, by the time they do 1 or 2 years, they look at Obama, all their hairs would have gone grey because of the serious nature of the work that they do. But here, they become more robust. Look at by the time Babangida Buhari was leaving office, he has become a changed man, more healthier, more robust, and more better looking. So that tells you the kind of work that is positioned to work. But that notwithstanding, you must remember that all these bandits that we have between the different African countries and others are artificial bandits, which were drawn in Berlin by the colonial master, who do all these bandits and all that for the purposes of dominating us and then acquiring some of those territories for themselves. When you look at the Yoruba people, you find some of them in Togo, in Benin Republic, and even Ghana. When you look at
sorry to obstruct you there, but some may say if there's anything, those artificial boundaries have shown just how disunited we are. Take Nigeria, for example. I've heard someone say that the kind of ideology that some people in the north have is totally different from the kind of ideology that those of us in the south have. Those two regions had nothing in common, and therefore shouldn't have been lumped together. I've heard 1 or 2 persons say that. How do you think that would work in the whole African continent?
I will not agree with you that the ideology that the average person, for example, they have in the north is different from what the average southerners in Nigeria do have. I should think that whether you are outside, you are Fulani, you are Yoruba, or Igbo, and all that, the aspiration in life is to live a comfortable life. Say, for example, the north I will refer to, they finally borrow their values, or most of their values, or some of their values from Saudi Arabia. But look at what is happening in the north. Do you see it happening in Saudi Arabia? Do you see children carrying bowls around to beg for food, or being out of schools? And
have you forgotten we have the Amajuris mostly in the north?
Exactly. But do you see as much it is in Saudi Arabia and all that, and some of these North African countries? Some of the best universities in the world, you will not believe it, they are in Saudi Arabia. The kind of English that teach you in Saudi Arabia, they don't teach it in the UK or in America and whatever.
But that's also probably because of some may argue that influence of the West, because South Africans, Saudi Arabians live like that for centuries until pressure from the north, from the west rather, and the fact that the current de facto leader of the Saudi Arabia is now trying to be friendly more to the Westerners, which is now making them to change some of their tunes.
Well, I would rather say it's time to modernize the society. It's trying to modernize Saudi Arabia. A lot of them have seen the dangers of keeping the people down, of not allowing the people to live to their full potentials and what have you. And that is the reason you find out a woman can now drive in Saudi Arabia. Women can now go to stadium or whatever to watch sporting events. Even fashion parades are now being conducted in Saudi Arabia. And big football, entertainments like boxing, football and what have you, are now being staged because the boy there now has realized that if you don't modernize the society and what have you, what happened during the Arab Spring might just be a child play. Compare what is likely to happen in a place like Saudi Arabia if you want to insist in keeping the people down for eternity on the prejudice of religion and culture, which are neither here nor there, which doesn't fit into modern standards of living, because the average person in Saudi Arabia, in the northern part of Nigeria, or anywhere in the world now, has access to internet, the social media, more television, more radio, and what have you. So whatever is happening in Europe and America, they see the freedom, they see the liberty, they see the opportunities that the other people over there are exposed to. If you now say you are going to keep your own people away from such a thing, you might be sitting on a keg of gunpowder that can blow at any time. But with that as it may, I still believe that having the whole of Africa as a market, having the whole of Africa as a population, having the huge landmass that we have in Africa under one umbrella might pay the African people better. In the sense that, let's give one hypothetical example. If there was to be war between Africa today and China, with about 1.6 billion population and war, the Chinese people can afford to throw 1 million men into one single battle without feeling any distress that a whole 1 million people could perish in there. But we in Africa, if we are not united, we will be fighting a kind of amorphous war in which you will only be able to mobilize 1,000 people to the battlefield at any particular period of time, which is a very, very huge disadvantage. Also look at technological development. When you do research, when you do innovation, when you do development and manufacturing and other, if there are more mouths, if there are more hands, if there are more people to benefit also use those innovations and development and other, you create a bigger market. And that creates an incentive to those who are doing this research, who are manufacturing and developing and who are marketing it. So even do more. But if you have a tiny population within the tiny geographical locations and all that, here are either thousands, a few millions and whatever, you have sustained yourself in terms of market, in terms of the usage of the products of your research and innovation. So for me, I look at what is happening around the world.
Some may argue. Some may argue, even without a united Africa, there's still lots of money. I mean, look at the potential money in Nigeria,
you are right.
DR Congo,
you are right.
and yet the citizens are like some of the poorest in the world. So if a single African state with the huge financial potential, with population living in squalor, it will be more money to steal for a united Africa.
You may be right in that respect, but the truth of the matter is my hypothesis with regard to the corruption in Africa, especially, or in Nigeria, especially, are this: what most of our leaders have this KDAC syndrome, in which they look at state resources as their personal resources. Second, what have you? And this is a very, very important. They would rather live on old glories or keep staying with a dying horse than try to breed new ones and what have you. Furthermore, corruption is rising in most of these African countries simply because the way we are fighting corruption, you could hardly defeat corruption that way. Why do I say this? You ask yourself, why is it that people are called? Why is it that people steal and what have you? I use Nigeria as an hypothesis, or the Southwest as a distance. Cost of education in the Southwest is very, very expensive. Cost of building house in the Southwest is very, very expensive. Cost of feeding and living is very, very expensive and what have you. So, and every human race, every human being, every Yoruba person, every Igbo, every Yoruba, every Hausa and what have you, desire to live a comfortable life and what have you. So, if you are able to make cheap and functional accommodation available to the people, if you make school available to the people, if you make a cost of feeding or nutrition cheap for the people and all that, the odds to steal is going to be reduced. But so long as people have to raise millions of money to buy a whole house instead of taking mortgages and all that, it will be difficult, if not impossible, for you to step them from stealing because they are too afraid, they are too fearful for what is going to happen to them in future, especially when they leave paid employment. So that area must be addressed. If you don't address it, if you have a billion ICPC and EFCC and the special fraud unit of the police all over the place and all that, corruption will not appear in Nigeria and most African countries.
Well, I'm sure someone like Paul Biya of Cameroon will want to be the single president of Africa.
He will want to rule the whole of Africa forever.
It's always a pleasure talking to you, Barrister Kolawole. Thank you very much for your time.
Before we drop the mic,
okay.
You know they are already investing on longevity now. A lot of European, a lot of billionaires in Europe are already putting money into research in which people will no longer, they are asking themselves, if Methuselah and all the rest of them can live about 900 years, why not us who have all these huge money and resources and so If the African leaders think that way, the possibility is that when they steal money to them, if you invest in Europe, scientists to make life, to live forever and be able to dominate their people.
Well, one thing is for sure, we're not the only one here learning some bad things from the European.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is learning some bad leadership from Africans. So
sure. Look at what the American man is doing. Look at what.
Yeah. Well, he's taking his page from African leaders, So at least we've exported something.
I agree with you totally.
Thank you very, very much for your time.
Do have a lovely day.
Thanks.
And my regards to our colleagues in the studio.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
That was Tunde Kolawole, a legal practitioner and current affairs analyst. It's time for you to have your say. Unfortunately, sorry, I didn't open the phone line on time. There were a lot to talk about. There's still, this is a very, very deep topic about. There's only so much we can talk about. That's even hoping that the African leaders are even listening at all. The number to call is 0700 903 903 903. Again, at 0700 903 903 903. I'm already getting callers. I'm sure people are itching to make their contribution. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Yes, am I speaking with
you're gonna have to call us back. Your network is bad. You can also call us via 070-386 369 29933. Again, 003-692-9933. You can also call or text us via WhatsApp. The number to call is or text us 081-717-56338. Again, 007-081. What is going on with me today? 081-717-56338. I already have some messages coming in from WhatsApp. Good afternoon, sir. I'm Francis from Ejigbo. It's not going to be possible for one man to be a president of all the countries in Africa. But as for currency, it may be possible for us to start using one currency. But the truth is that, for example, Nigeria, we must also have one Nigeria for us to be using in Nigeria. Just imagine for one man to control the whole of Africa. He will use the opportunity to take our oil and gold. Hello. Hello.
Sorry. Hello, Presidency.
Hello.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, the name is Ugo from Ajegule.
Ugo from Ajegule. Okay, talk to us, Ugo.
Yes. I sent a message earlier on telling you that I was at the INEC office.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
You probably may be calling the wrong person and the wrong program. We're not talking about.
I know. So would you not like blue post? So there's an INEC office close to blue post. So the INEC guys, since early morning, since as early as 7 o'clock, some people have been here. You understand, waiting for them to respond and open. So there were lots of crowd outside. You understand. So there's a police station very close to the INEC office, which is Solufos. They've tried their best, their very possible best to see that the situation of things have been it's under control. But I would beg the INEC office, the head office, that most of their branches needs helping hands. You understand, because like here in Ajegule, there are too many people that wants to register for the voters card, but the situation of things is.
Oh, okay. Sorry, we've lost you there. Hello. Good afternoon. Hello.
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 Hello, this is Adedayo Laluwapo, calling from 5 Star.
Okay, go ahead, Adedayo.
Okay, for me, I think the one person cannot rule Euro Africa, but I supported the motion that we should have one currency, 54 countries, 33 currencies. And not everybody can buy 10%.
Call us back, please. Call us back. Your network is bad. This is what we're talking about. Once more rain falls and everything goes to hell. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us on the show. I can hear you. Hello.
Yeah, this is AB speaking from Ekpe.
Okay, AB from Ekpe. Okay, talk to us.
Yeah. It's a good idea, the one currency, one everything, parliament.
Including one president of Africa?
Yes, but I want to say that
okay.
Anybody pushing that's the spirit of the Antichrist, because that's what's going to happen in the last day. So that's just what I want to say.
I don't understand. What does Antichrist get to do with this?
Yeah, it's the last day prophecy that in the last day everybody will be using one currency. Do you understand? So it's a drive towards that. So that's what I want.
Okay, this is interesting. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay. Julius Malema is delusional with his idea and should just bury it. It can never work. John from Janiki. Thank you very much, John. Hello. Hello, can you hear me? Oh God. Okay. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us.
Gospel, I'm calling from Badagry.
Okay, Gospel, go ahead.
I don't buy the idea of one currency because there's what they call in economics area of comparative advantage. Okay. Why one currency? Even in Nigeria, the major issue that is affecting us is because we are running a unitary system of government. If we run through federalism, whereby each state begin to generate at their own pace, you will notice that Nigeria will be one of the giants of Africa. So I don't think our problem is currency. Our problem in Africa is leadership.
Okay.
When we begin to have functional and more better institutions, I think then maybe in the future we cannot be thinking of currency. But for now, we are having a leadership and an institutional problem. May God bless Nigeria.
God bless us indeed. Thank you very much. The number to call 0700-903-903-903. Hello. Hello. Uh-oh. You can also call us on 080-369-29933. 0803-692-9933. Hello. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Thank you for joining us in the show.
Yeah, Minister Besson.
Sorry?
Yeah, somebody bring positive idea from another people, they talk another something else. I don't understand. I think I want to be part of the whole Nigeria. And how many 52 states join together. And they are using one currency. It no work for them. And you are telling me that Africa can use one currency will feel up. What make another feel up? Somebody is bring idea of anti-Christ. We can bring anti-Christ point there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, King Solomon Ofen.
Hey, thank you for joining us on the show.
My name is Peter Usifo. I'm calling from Abanajeni.
Okay, talk to us, Peter.
I agree totally with one but the last speaker, the one what he said.
Okay.
Saying that the problem of Africa is leadership and institutions, which is very, very correct. You see, Julius Malema of economic freedom
Fighters.
Freedom fighters, I think he's being utopian in nature, being delusional, as somebody has rightly tested to you. You see, you should not be talking about one military, one currency, one president, one this, one that. You should be thinking of how our institutions should work, how judiciary, the legislature, and then other institutions like EFCC, for instance, in Nigeria, which we also have such in other African countries, how they should be independent of the executive, and how these institutions are very much independent and very much viable in the Western countries, like America and Europe, to be precise. We should not just come to Africa to bamboozle us. To come to Nigeria in the name of NBA conference to bamboozle us. After all, there were other African leaders before now that opted such things. People like Kwame Nkrumah, as your analyst has rightly said, Kwame Nkrumah, even Nnamdi Azikiwe of Pan-Africanism itself, and of course the late Libyan president Muammar Gaddafi, who was killed at long last because of his quest for one currency, you know. So, and the Europeans don't like that. You know what is happening in Europe? And the coming of Donald Trump, how he's trying to scatter this whole idea of, Europeans coming together to fight for one currency, or even Brisbane, or whatever they call it. That is Brazil, Russia, and the rest.
BRICS.
Which Nigeria BRICS, which Nigeria is about to join, or has been an observer for some time now. You understand? So I think the major thing is that we should be thinking of how our institutions in Africa, because it's not only in Nigeria, but in all African countries.
It's an African problem.
Yes, how they should work and compare them to what is happening in the West. Because you cannot tell me that judiciary is not independent in the West, or the legislature, that there is maybe defections here and there, especially in America or United Kingdom. So this is how, what African leaders should be thinking of, not to retain power in perpetuity. You understand?
Yeah.
How our institutions should work to be retained and leadership. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Peter. Good afternoon. The African leaders' call is another distraction and enmity with civilization, and could use his demise a third world war on recolonization. The demarcation and ceding of Africa and its resources to the UN Security Council comprising of the US, Russia, France, the UK, Italy, and China is part of the peace terms to end the Second World War. Then followed colonialism, then independence, with the extant neo-colonialism features in these African countries. There have been cold wars, and currently there are cold wars in Africa financed by these world powers. Nigeria has had Boko Haram, bandism, kidnapping, political wars, other terrorists, etc. And these are some cold wars. The late Libyan leader Gaddafi's demise was as a result of such calls if unification box Africa. Now this man has come to make enemies with civilization. Look, it's not easy to tell minorities that they had their freedom from majority to unite again with them. Example is Nigeria, where the 6 states in the south who were once the minority have been ceded to major oil deposits to be held in trust for the political Nigeria cannot agree to reunite back with the 5 states in the southeast who are the majority. Tochukwu Adiele Thompson from Obanikoro. Thank you very much. Hello. Hello. Good afternoon, sir. Thanks for the guest. Presently, my VP is high cost. My VP is high cost. Nigeria future is bleeding. I can't see. Oh, you mean BP? Okay. I can't see any light at the end of Nigeria tunnel, and all our leaders do for now is to eat future, present, and even past of unborn children. Ade from Lagos. Thank you very much, Ade. Hello.
You are blessed.
Amen. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Yes. Thank you.
Tell us your name.
Patrick.
Okay.
From Badagry.
Okay. Talk to us, sir.
Yeah. I want to say that, there are things that are very important. And it's so painful that I don't know whether our leaders in Nigeria want Nigeria to become a laughing stock. It's very painful and it's disheartening. Our fathers fought for this country. And it is painful what we are witnessing. Do you know, my brother, this thing they are trying to do now, talk about African one currency, this and that, there is a difference. The use of now, I don't know whether they know the difference between OAU and AU. OAU was a body that was, their interest only was to take power from the colonial masters. They were not economical. Then, but the AU, when they now changed it to AU, they now added it was economics that made the difference between OAU and AU. Yet, I thought by now that nations of Africa would have been economically advancing. But the situation. So, what we are witnessing is painful. Politically, Nigeria need to look at this country. Beside the good old Jonathan, there is no vice president in this country that have been able to come as a president. There are issues Nigeria need to, even the parties we have in this country need to realize that, look at party fee is too expensive. If for any reason you didn't get money from anywhere, that you can pay the party fees in order to go for election, who can do that? Is it the youth or the middle age that have even disappeared, the middle class that have disappeared? So there are things that we need to understand. There are things we need. There are norms in this country before. All the things are being eroded. This thing is painful. It bleeds the heart. Any Nigerian that is up to 60, 65 upward, most of them are crying in their heart. None is happy because of what is going on.
Okay, sir.
The formation in this country is, we are deviating. Do you know that in the 70s, let's take the 60s and 70s in politics. My fathers, uncles, I saw them playing politics. What they used to do is that they bring out a young man or an adult and say, okay, you go to represent us in so and so place, in so and so place. And when they want to do something for him, I remember in the 70s, my uncle at Onitsha brought his own goat. They killed for the party to say thank you to the people who voted for another person. It's not even our relation. Another man donated rice. That is what they were doing in those days. So anybody that is going there will not go there with intention of, oh, it is my money, I'll just go there and do whatever I like.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So, thank God.
Thank you very much for calling, sir.
Remember.
I think one military, one currency, one anthem, one flag, and no border restrictions might be a good one, coming together as a strong force, but one president might not be ideal, because when it comes to choosing who will be the president, this will trigger segregation, separation, and will spoil the whole thing. If Africa is not together to form a force, the Western world will keep looting Africa because we are disorganized and not united. I guess doing this will also bring back love to Africa. God bless and save Africa. Tobiloba from Isolo. Thank you very much, Tobiloba. Good afternoon, Solomon. PDP, once upon a time, the so-called the biggest party in Africa, a party that wants to rule forever, but because of pride, ignorance, impunity, looting, and wastefulness, it has lost its relevance in the heart of Nigerians. How the mighty fallen. So because of the so-called cancer called Wike. PDP is not willing to let him go. This is why PDP is a dead state. Now that they have allowed Atiku go, I want to ask who is the enemy within? Is not Wike? Would there? Okay, Lekon, I have to end it here. Thank you very much for texting. I don't advocate for united leadership, rather I believe in autonomous leadership. Solo absolute power corrupts. Let that EFF man work on the institutions in Africa and give the people a better leader in their country that can think of industrialization of Africa continent and stop depending on the Westerners. Let there be a train network to connect all Africa and improve trade amongst Africa continent. Thanks, Vincent aka Botwai from Moshi. Thank you very much. I'm finding it difficult to pick some of your calls. Please, you can also text us via WhatsApp. It looks like our network is bad today. You can text us via or call us via WhatsApp. I think texting will be better because I've tried to pick 1 or 2 calls from WhatsApp and it's been horrible. 081-717-56338. That's our WhatsApp number. Again, 081-717-56338. Or call us 0700-903-903-903. Again, 0700-903-903-903 or 0803-692-9933. Hello. Hello. Please text us on WhatsApp. It's been difficult connecting via normal phone call. Good day, Big Solo. Baba say no more corruption in Nigeria. On your mandate we shall stand. Lol. LOL. Sheikot from Itire. Thank you very much, Sheikot. Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us to the show.
This is Mike calling from Ikorodu.
Okay, go on, Mike.
Thank you very much. You see, I'm not a fan of Malema. Probably he's a younger brother to me. He's about 44 plus.
Yeah.
His records to me personally, I don't know about others. It's not that smooth. Because most times my brothers are from the Eastern tribe, and I have brothers who operate in South Africa, both in Soweto region and the other side. So most times this guy is always on the side of the people oppressing the Nigerian guy. This xenophobia, what they call it.
Xenophobia in South Africa.
Yes. And I'm surprised LB, an institution of law, who will have debated this thing among them before they bring him in. It is not like people like Mandela. We know the true freedom fighters. But the truth remains, he has come. I don't even know. Because there's nothing he says that will resonate with me. He is there. Most things happen, we will not condemn it. If he has condemned this thing,
well,
and our guys...
He does have a record of condemning xenophobia, actually.
But the fact remains that what he's coming to do now, he can't put the cart before the horse. We shall see him working from home. And on the issue of one army, one currency, one military, one this, it's not even the best. We'll go. It means it take us back to the old blocks. Do you belong to Moroccan bloc? Do you belong to Casablanca bloc, Liberian bloc? No, because when it comes to military leadership, Arabs will say we are the one. And this one, the Anglophones will come. The Francophones will come. The best thing is somebody has spoken very, very well. We should respect our institutions. Let the institutions work. Be independent of their own. And everybody should work at a different level and bring together to the center. Little things should come to the center. More should go to the divisions for proper development. Thank you very much. I don't have much to say, but Malema is not my fan. Can say as much as he wants. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for calling. Okay, we're having diverse opinion when it comes to this, which is a good thing. It's only in Nigeria you struggle to build a house at the age of 50 years and you go to church to give a testimony. But in Canada, a 30-year-old, you already have a house because you pay through mortgage. In fact, Nigeria pray for everything. Like a beggars, open your eyes. You guys speak good English in Nigeria, but not civilized. Ade from Lagos. Okay, thank you very much, Ade. Hello. Can you move away from your radio TV set or switch it off totally? Hello.
Hello. Hello. I don't have card. Call me back.
Wahala. We understand. We are in that situation. Hello. Hello. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Can you move away from your radio TV set?
I move out now. I move out and hearing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your name, where you calling from, please?
You see, to have one currency, it is good. But let me ask you this question. I'm a man of about 84 years now. Who will be the central bank manager? One. But taking that one, where will the senators and other people come in? Where will the capital be built? That. Two, if it is built, for example, what is happening here in Nigeria that they burn us? Many people, different people who will stand this thing at the north. So the country came for the mineral resources. Maybe we are from Delta, you have oil. Then we are from another place, we don't have oil. How do we get think of it? Igbo people used to say, that means it's something that has been taught and it cannot be named. It is millions and thousands. If they want to do it, have one currency. The education is high. You are more educated than me. But you are from my own place. You will never smell that shit. Thank you.
You didn't tell us your name and where you're calling from, sir.
Yeah, I'm Chief Morrison.
Okay.
I'm from Imo State.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Spoke like a typical Igbo man, okay? Hello, good afternoon.
Hello. Good afternoon, sir.
Thank you for joining us on the show.
You're welcome, sir. I am Johanna Samuel Dafwat, calling from Lagos, Ojo local government.
Okay. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, sir. This idea of a single president to oversee the affairs of the entire Africa, to me, is a rubbish. I don't think it will work. Or I don't support that idea in short. Even the issue of the single currency, I do not support it. Because as we have been saying, there are some callers that talk about institutions. We don't have strong institutions in Africa. The truth of the fact is that our mindset in Africa, we are so low. We are very, very low in the way we think towards leadership. The only problem that we have in Africa, most of our leaders, is leadership. Whenever they get there, they see themselves as super emperors. They see other people as some people that they are just there to be served. They don't have that actual servant leadership attitude. And you see that a leader is somebody that should serve people. You are not supposed to be there with, if actually we want to develop like all those Europe, other countries of the world, other advanced countries, our leaders have to do a lot. They have to do a...
Hello? Oh, we lost him there. Okay, good afternoon, Solomon of I think your callers should refrain from criticizing others' opinions. Everyone's entitled to their perspective. When a caller linked a single African currency to end times or antichrist ideologies, they shouldn't have attacked him because that was his own opinion. Personally, I believe a single currency isn't the main issue. Our continent's challenges stem from greed, selfishness, and a lack of unity and love. If we will cultivate love and unity, would make progress. Mr. Gumbi from Idimo. Thank you very much, Mr. Gumbi. Hello.
Hello. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us in the show.
Yeah, my name is Odinakat.
Sorry?
My name is Odinakat.
Okay, calling from?
Calling from Mafudu.
Okay. Go ahead, sir.
So what I want to say is that is something that you are talking, you cannot work. It cannot work. Because, wait, let me tell you. Tinubu have already sell Nigeria to foreigners. Because when the time of PDP, these people have already gone. Tinubu now go to bring Buhari. Buhari now bring them back. They have taken over Nigeria. So there's nothing anybody can do. When they want to do this last 2023 election, they cannot say something. He said,
hello.
If Nigeria want to do an election,
hello, can you hear me? Hello. Oh. Jeez. I mean, he's really talking off point here. That's not what we're talking about today. And he just they talk sha. Good afternoon, Mr. Solomon. When do we get to promised land? Because it seems suffering and smiling is now an identity with Nigeria. It's either you are poor or rich in Nigeria. Poor or rich. Is Nigeria the hellfire the Bible is talking about? Are they from Lagos? By the grace of God, I won't be in hellfire in Jesus' name. Okay, we're talking about a single African presidency, currency, and borderless continent as proposed by Julius Malema. Last caller, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon. VOP?
Yeah, VOP. Thank you. Do you know what we're talking about today?
Yeah?
Do you know what we're talking about today?
We're talking about single currency and single president.
Good. And I hear you say your first caller. Thank you for joining us, calling us.
Yeah, my name is Kenneth.
Okay.
I'm calling from Eba.
Okay. The bell is a little far. Would have rung it on you as a first caller.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Single currency will work only if Africans will do it like they have euro.
Okay.
But single president in Africa, it cannot work. Why the Western world opposed it during the days of Gaddafi was that had it been it is like that, it was like then. By now, only Nigeria alone, African economy would have surpassed the Western world. That is why they oppose it. But if Africa can unite together and have that kind of euro, then African economy will grow within 10 years more than Western world. That's what what I want to comment, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, this time for us to go. A single African presidency, currency, and borderless continents are ambitious goals that have been proposed by various African leaders and thinkers. Julius Malema, the president of the Economic Freedom Fighters, has been a vocal advocate for United Africa with one president, one currency, one parliament, and one military command. He believes that this unity will strengthen Africa's bargaining power in a global economic and promote economic growth and stability. The big question we asked today is this possible when you consider how corrupt and how selfish African leaders are? Unfortunately, it is time for us to go. Sorry, I can't pick your call. I can't read your messages anymore. It's time for us to say goodbye. Tomorrow is another day on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. The program is Matters and the time is 1:30 p.m. Do follow our social media handles at VOP903FM. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at VOP903FM. I'll be right back tomorrow. Good afternoon and thank you for listening. I am Solomon of Ciao.